Start recording. Okay, cool. So I was not here, right? Last time. I noticed some commits inside of the stuff, like the preprocessor in here.
Yeah, because
Oh, and
the way we had the
now I
codes,
have this key binding. Look at that. I like that.
um, that's nice. But yeah, the way we had this set up last time, we couldn't test the Sakura code
Yeah,
generation
this is
because it was not actually hooked up to the compilation pipeline. And when I did that, oh, actually, first of all, the preprocessor was breaking on Sakura files because it was assuming that any directive would not be namespaced, but that's not true for Sakura, right?
yes, that's true.
And then Yeah, and then as I said, I had to actually hook up the Sakura files to the actual compilation pipeline because like they were getting pre-processed but not actually compiled, which is not what we want.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but as far as I understand, then we haven't really started the compilation. I think we managed to make yeah, this thing. The step should never see declaration. Sakura has different declaration types that cannot be compiled uniformly. So this is because we plan on folding on the directive compilation. We're not gonna recur on it.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so this is actually very interesting situation because reading the code, like if you are not aware of the intricacies of the how the compiler functor works, you're gonna look at this and say, this doesn't make sense, right? I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because how can we make this more explicit, right? Because it's very indirect. There's many moving parts, and the Tetris is kind of like distributed or scattered around, and you have to know multiple places to know why this makes sense. And I keep asking myself, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And if it's a bad thing, how can we improve it?
Uh, well, I guess one thing we can do is actually change the error message because the way it's written right now, I'm pretty sure we will actually hit this case and error out with an unreachable if the source file has a declaration where there shouldn't be one. But actually, we want to tell the user, hey, you should actually put the declaration
Yeah,
inside of a proper directive, you know?
yeah. We can start by saying in Sakura, all declarations must be within must be within a qualified Sakura directive, and then this thing can go on. So Sakura has different declaration types that cannot be compiled uniformly. I don't know if this is really useful, the second portion of it, for the user.
I, yeah, that's not useful for the user. Um,
Um,
we should probably grab the location from the multi declaration and use it. Uh, oh,
no,
I
we
guess
are.
we're using the clause lock already, right?
Yeah, this is the clause already, which and we are matching on it. So we are. This is definitely the location of this multi declaration. In Sakura,
Yeah.
all
Okay.
declarations must be hence uh, no top level declarations are allowed. Allowed.
Uh, yeah, I think you can get rid of the remaining of the string and just change the unreachable with an error.
I think that we should keep it as an unreachable though, because if you ever reach this, this means that there is something wrong with the directive implementation in here.
That's is that true? I don't think that's true because actually,
I think it must be true because here's the deal. When we go through to direct the database directive compile, we should not recur into calling step, which is what we usually do for Karuta. okay, let me draw this. I think that's going to be educational. So we have step inside of the functor, right? And then in there we call compile clause. And then in Karuta we call directive compile, which calls a step.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is this: for Sakura, this portion cannot exist in there.
It might though, because we're deferring to the shared module implementation, aren't we?
Well, in the directives we are. Um, okay, let's actually clarify that a little bit better. Okay, so imagine that you have, yeah, that is very fucked up. But imagine that you have a module, right? So you're compiling a Sakura module. When you have that as an input for step is going to go to compile clause, so it's going to go to here. It's going to go to this pattern matching here, and then it's going to call this, which is going to call shared, right? So if I go there and I ask for shared, it it will in fact call the shared. But here's the catch: shared calling step is fine. You know why? Because instead of a module, what we're going to have? Sakura qualified directives, which means you're going to go back to here.
You are assuming that there's no user error. Like the user may try to
Ah,
write a declaration outside of
yeah,
a Sakura directive.
yeah. If you make a Sakura directive, a declaration inside of a module but outside of a directive, then you're going to reach this, and that justifies this being an error. Because that's still possible, right? You make a module, so the entire pipeline is going to work, but when you put the declaration inside of the module, and then you're going to hit this because shared is going to call step, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Completely done. So this should be actually an error. I agree. Good call, good call. Um, okay, in Sakura, all declarations must be within a qualified Sakura directive. We should probably list the available Sakura directives. Um, I would expect that if I was the user. So simply error, and then we can just put something in there. The problem is that this already exists in here, I think. Yeah, this is a problem. Um, this is actually a problem. Treat error cases, undefined, Sakura directive. Okay, so here's my suggestion. We move this to the types in database, and then we can get rid of this module error, and just have the treat errors function, right? What do you say?
Uh,
We just move this to the types file, which means I
types
probably
all
should
of
do a doing build.
directive. Yeah, that should be fine, I think.
Yeah. So let's actually do that. So we have this thing, and yeah, it's definitely gonna live here. So there. I don't know why indentation does that. The problem though is that I need this thing. So are we using set for anything? Oh, we are. In that case, I'm gonna actually just do bet set string mem, because I'm gonna grab that, put it in here, and then nuke this and nuke that. And in here, I will put. Damn, it's annoying because this is using open on compiler types. So for now, I'm gonna do database types that and see how that flows. See how that flows. So let's go through the compilation errors. Ooh, cycle, right?
Yeah, that looks like a cycle.
Interesting. Why is that? I guess the question is the compiler types using this file? It's not. So we have to read the message, sadly. So module directive in directory depends on database. This doesn't make sense to me. Database is the main module of the library.
It could be that you forgot to remove a qualifier from the name.
A qualifier. Where?
Uh,
Ah, here.
yeah, see, database.types. You should get rid of that.
Yeah, that was weird. Set of list inside of types. Yeah, yeah. So in here, we... Was that an indentation problem?
I'm pretty sure we were doing an open, or rather a module alias somewhere. Did you remember to grab that?
No, the alias is just this. This is the alias.
Okay.
I don't know what's up with that. But we can just do this. Ah, actually, yeah, yeah, that. And then that should be kind of it. Yeah, I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is this. Um,
Types.supported directives.
let open. Um, Man, that's annoying. Can I move this to here? No, that doesn't change shit. So the module types is an alias for a module which is the current compilation unit. I don't know. I
Uh,
think this is the problem.
go go back to database types real quick.
Yes. Oh, there it is. This is already. We already are here. Ihor blah blah blah. Yes. Okay, so let's actually move that back to see if it's still okay. Yes. And then here we can just nuke that. Yes. Thank you, Marlene. Okay, so we have that. Supported directives. Um, I kind of want to make another binding here. Formatted supported directives, you know? This binding seems useful overall. Like, oh, we want to list in a very pretty way what are the options for directives for Sakura. So we can just use this binding for everything.
Okay.
There's a bit of... We already did this before. So I think it's this. Yeah, that. Okay, so there's also an entry point and a bunch of other things. Okay, so let's actually go to entry point then. So I want concat. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay. So it's gonna be something along these lines. So we have this list here, and it's just supported directives. No? Ah, of course. List. No. What is the type of this? Oh, this is a set. Okay. So something like bat set string to list. See, is this reasonable?
Uh, and you were concatenating, inserting commas in between. Yeah, this looks fine.
Okay, then we go here and we say available available directives. Um, and then we do something like database types formatted supported directives or something like that. Yeah, cool. Okay, with that out of the way, we should do compilation, right? So that's what we should be doing. I wonder though, we have this module here, which is kind of useless. Uh, so which one we need to do? We need to do persisted first, right? So persisted. There is a debug thing. Okay, this is probably because you were figuring out the problems, right? About, oh, we forgot to actually hook, like plumb the the stuff.
Uh, Partially, yes, but also I wanted to check if the module name was actually correct, and I had to adjust that a little bit if you look at the commits that I made.
What did you change?
We were doing an extra concatenation that we shouldn't have been doing because like this is already inside of a module, so um, we can have the module name already correct at this point. So we don't need to concatenate the current module's name after that redundantly. That's wrong.
Uh-huh.
And we were doing that.
Uh-huh. Okay, so here's what I have in mind, right? With this out of the way. We're gonna fold, right? When you encounter persisted, we need to fold. And the fold is actually gonna be pretty simple. We have a body. We should have a body at this point. So where is our body? Yeah, there we go. We have a body. And we know this is the body of the directive we are just doing. So what I was thinking is just fold over it, and we make the function to compile persisted declarations in the declaration.ml. And that's going to be the folding functions, and that's going to be the pattern throughout the entire thing. So like list fold left, and then we do declaration compile persisted, and you pick the body, and we also need a compiler. And this is going to be the tail call, and that's it. What do you say?
We can do that, but if we just do that, that will introduce an
Actually,
order dependence,
yeah,
right?
I was wrong. This needs to be like this. Continue.
I mean, we can do that, but then the order of the declarations will matter to determine which one is visible from where.
Isn't that already the case?
Isn't that already the case?
Like, in my opinion, we already are doing that, but instead of using a fold, we do recursion on step for Karuta.
I guess that's fine for now then, if you think of that.
Well, I mean, if you don't want the order to be dependent, I understand that, and I am in favor of that. You know that we already debated this before. I like very much how Haskell does it, and I don't I have problems with this idea that um, the order of the stuff being declared matters. I understand the benefits of that, but I also think there are trade-offs. But right now, I think this is already the case. Karuta is order dependent.
That is true for modules. I don't remember if that's true for predicates though.
Let me show you. Let me show you why that's the case for predicates. So if you go to not there, if you go to shared and you go to directive and you go to module, yeah, this thing. Look at what we are doing here. So if you go, yeah, this is the catch here. This. So you see, we did a lookup of the module, so we know we can proceed because this module hasn't been declared before. And look at what we do. We grab the body, which is a list of clauses, and we just pass that to step. And step is the one in the functor that calls compile clause again. And compile clause in Karuta if you have a multi-declaration, it's just gonna do this for each one of the body. Um, for each one of the body, right?
Well, yes, but compile multi, I'm pretty sure that doesn't actually check the body of the predicates to see if we're referring to something undefined, or does it?
Ah, there's lookup rules in the compilation of declarations. That's what you're saying, right?
There might be.
I
Or
think the
rather,
answer is
actually,
no. Yeah, we don't do any lookups for compiling body declaration bodies.
yeah, so two things. We should actually check at some point if the if what we're calling inside of the predicate is defined or not. But then that will make the predicates become order dependent again. So we should be careful when we do that. But yeah, currently predicates can be in any order.
But
The only thing that
we're kind of trusting that's gonna be like at runtime.
yeah, yeah, we are. We're basically relying on the beam's notion of
They are doing the scoping for that,
yeah, we're relying on the beam for doing the scoping rules for that.
which is bad, right? Because you're gonna have the error explosion is gonna happen not only at runtime, but at the runtime that happens on the beam, which has very debatable error reporting and stuff.
Uh, Actually, I'm pretty sure the beam checks function references at compile time, but that only works for local references. It doesn't work across module boundaries.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense to me as well. Um, okay, so we're gonna have to figure this shit out, especially when we go full type checking mode. We're gonna have to implement some sort of mechanism that, well,
Hello, Magetta.
yeah, hello, Magatin. Um, we're gonna have to figure something out that allows us to, well, it depends on how well we want this to go about. If we want the order to be dependent, if you're okay with that, then that's probably the easier implementation. And if you want to be order independent, then I think we're gonna have to figure something like I don't know. I can only think of backpatching, right? That's all I can think of. But there's probably more ways of doing that.
Yeah, no, backpatching is an option. I'm not a fan of that because it implies blatant mutability. But there are other options, like we can collect the declarations ahead of time. I think we were doing that for the WAM actually.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh, or we can rely on laziness, but then that would imply adding a bunch of, a bunch of. I don't think I don't know the exact name of that for lazy cells in OCaml, but we will have to add a bunch of those and a bunch of forcing operations in a lot of places. So yeah, there are some trade-offs for each approach.
Well, if everything is modularized right, adding the forces could be done in like inside of modules instead of the API calls, but I don't think we did. We thought of that, so maybe it's gonna be a mess anyway. But yeah, but that's a concern for a future us. Although, yeah, I think that's not for this year. Actually, now that I think about it, because we still have to implement today because of what we talked last time. We have to implement not today, but the next sections. We have to implement some sort of type checking, right? We have to figure it out. We have to collect types from a declaration for Sakura.
Yes. I guess we can do if we want to avoid order dependence. For now, we can do the same thing that we do um, for Karuta predicates and rely on
Just trust
Sakura
it.
for the scoping, like to check that the things that we are referring to actually exist. But that feels kind of bad.
What? Rely on the beam for the scoping?
Relying on both the beam and on Sakura for the scoping.
I mean, I agree it's bad. Like, we should check this out ourselves. I agree. But I don't know how much of a tangent that's gonna be. That sounds like a very big tangent actually. Because we're gonna have to implement, how should I say? That's also gonna affect the import directive in a way, right?
Uh, import. Not really, actually.
No, because if you, let's say
Because,
that you have a declaration, and the declaration is using something that you could not find inside of this module, inside of this compilation unit, what you should do? You should check the imports.
well, but we're already handling that because any module related declarations or directives, I should say, are being pushed to the top by the preprocessor.
Okay, so what you're saying is that having the import has already been taken into consideration. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm,
Actually, let me be more precise. We actually, I don't think we're moving the imports technically, but because we're compiling in dependency order and we're using the imports to determine that, we know that if a module depends on another via an import, that the the latter module, the one that depends on the first one, will be compiled later, which means we will in fact have the compiled module definition in the compiler state by the point that we get there.
yes.
So when we do the lookup for the predicates compilation, I don't think we're doing that kind of lookup at all for predicates actually.
No, what we aren't, man. The only scoping verification we're doing statically is for modules and signatures. That's it. There's no notion of lookups happening inside of declaration bodies.
Yeah. Well, imports are handled already if we just do the lookup for the predicates, but we're not doing that. So
Actually, I'm having lapses of memory. Haven't we implemented that already? And like, we just didn't use? Yeah, isn't this? Like, am I crazy? Find all. Yeah. Am I crazy? We implemented this and we're just not using it because we're dumb. Is that true?
I think we were okay. This is in lookup. Hmm.
Yeah, this is already here, right? And according to my LSP grep, we're not using this anywhere at all. And I think I even wait. This is a little bit sus. This error doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
What, like, qualifiers reference signature instead of a module? Ah, okay, but this is a predicate call that can have qualifiers. Ah, I
Yeah.
see. Actually, no. This is it. No, like, am I crazy?
Yeah. I guess I
We thought
I
of
think
it.
we implement. We're just not using it. Yeah.
We thought of it. We have the function. We're not using it at all. Okay, so that means that if I go here and there's no predicate being called, yeah, nothing at all. Okay, so do you want to fix that first for Karuta? I think we should.
We probably should, but then we would have to handle the order issue like right now
What do you mean
as
by the
well.
order issue?
Because we're processing the predicates in the order that they appear on the source file, right?
Ah, we don't know. Okay, the dependency graph is only for modules, like comp time entities. They don't work for declarations. Shit.
Yeah, like if we have a predicate that depends on another predicate in a nested module, we can check that because we're handling the modules first before any predicates. But if we
Yeah.
make a predicate depending on another predicate that's defined in the same scope, then the order matters then, which is inconsistent.
Okay, how? Okay, there's two ways to do this as far as my fried brain goes. We can either add declarations to the system of dependency graph thing, or we can do it again when we reach the body of the module, right? Like we can make a similar procedure that's like that goes over the declarations declared inside of a body of a comp time, and then we can make another dependency graph and use that instead. I don't like that because we already pre-processed this. So in my opinion, the preprocessor should have handled it. What's your opinion?
Mm, we don't actually need a dependency graph because we don't need to know what's inside of the predicates that we depend on. We only need to know its arity and its name, right?
Oh, no. I'm calling dependency graph, but it's a lot simpler, right? We just have to scan over the body of a declaration and collect the things, the names.
Not the body of a declaration, the body of the module, actually.
No. I'm talking, yeah, that is true, but I'm talking about the inner fold first. So you go over the declaration, you collect those names. You have to do that for all the declarations of a body of a module, right?
Not really, actually. I mean, you can do that as an optimization to avoid having to check the same predicate twice, I guess.
No, wait. How is that an optimization? How do you know who needs to come first than who if you don't know who is referencing who?
You only care about the name and arity of the predicates and whether or not that there is a predicate defined with that name and arity. You don't care about who is compiled first.
Ah, okay. So your idea would be to just collect those names to be aware of the body, well, a simplified version of the body of a module, which is just a set of names and entities, and then you just can be able to consult and hear that data, so you can know that this is gonna appear later anyway, but you have that information ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But I think okay, so here's my counter proposal. Okay, if we do that, right? What you are proposing, we're gonna have to save that set of names and narrative somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my idea doesn't need to save anything because we're just gonna sort it differently in the preprocessor.
Um, how does your idea handle cycles?
It
Because you
doesn't.
can have a pair of mutually recursive predicates, and that should work, right?
Well, that kinda should work. I agree, but I don't know if this is a must as of right now. What's your opinion?
Uh, I'd rather not leave that particular feature for later because we're not doing checks right now, so we kind of already have it. That would be a regression.
Well, but we are doing something bad, but doing something bad comes with some benefits, such as that. And now we are trying to undo the badness, but that cuts some of the goodies. So to me, that's fair. But again, yeah, you can decide. You can pick.
Yeah,
How?
I'd rather not lose mutual recursion
Yeah, but how does the idea of the names and narrative solve that problem of cycles?
because you don't need to care about the bodies when you're just collecting the names and narratives of the predicates.
Okay, so mm, okay, that is fair. I guess that's fair. Um, save more stuff. I really don't like that. That's gonna touch so much more moving parts because we have to save that in the compiler, do initialization, right? And we're gonna be passing the baton just because we have to reach this point. So it's gonna have to start on the executor. You have the preprocessor. The preprocessor spits that
Uh,
out. You pass that to the
does it?
compilers.
I don't think we need to do that though.
Well, we have to do that at some point. Which point do you think it's fair?
Uh, okay, here's an idea to do this the proper quote unquote way. Um, right now, the preprocessor is sorting the clauses that we parse so that like directives appear, well, module and import and signature directives appear first before any declarations, right?
Sure.
What if uh, instead of doing that sort, we actually split the body of the module into two parts? One that's just declarations, and the other has all of the directives.
But aren't you losing information because you're gonna lose which declarations are contained in which modules?
No, because you would do this per module, actually.
Oh, okay. Per module.
Yeah, and then when we compile a module, instead of just iterating through the body, like regardless of what's in the what we're going to find like in there, we first do the directives. Um, then we iterate over the declarations to collect all of the names and varieties, and then we compile the declarations.
You said that that's the proper way to do it.
Yeah, because this avoids having to like introduce a set of declarations anywhere other than the compiler for internal bookkeeping.
Wasn't this already the case though?
Kinda, but kinda not, because if we just try to do this with the data structures that we have right now, the types, I mean, the types don't actually tell us when we finish the directives and we start with the declarations. I guess technically we could iterate over the entire body of the module, but then we would have to skip a bunch of stuff when we were looking for the declarations.
Ah, okay. That is what I'm missing. So it's because uh wait, is that true? We cannot have that separate. I thought we could. Comp like yeah, like we have these things like predicates.
No, no, this is the result of compiling a module. When we're actually in the process of compilation, that's not what we're handling. What we're handling is an AST dot.
Correct. Yeah, it's this. So it's this type. Okay, we have it's this with locations, alright? So it's this with locations.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is that you oh yeah, it is in here. You have a directive which has yeah, it's recursive because this is a T. Oh, it's mutually recursive, I should say. And it is so this is the body. Yeah. And you cannot know what's in here because it can be any of these three things. Any of these three things.
yeah.
Which is probably not correct because this allows you to have a query inside of that.
No, that is correct. You need to be able to put a query in a module because files are modules and files are allowed to have queries.
Well, but that's the thing. The way that it's written, if you have a directive instead of a module, that nesting this type allows the query to be nested, right?
Well, yes, you can say, okay, I want the entry point to be the module A colon B colon C, and use the query from there. Like you have
Ah,
that option.
okay. It's because we allow you to select nesting as the for the modules as well.
I'm not sure that we implemented that yet, but that's definitely something we can do.
Okay, going back to the point. So your idea is to make this type different, this pair here different.
Uh, yeah, right now, we just have like each file is a list of clauses, and then a module is just a directive which has a particular header, and there's a bunch of more clauses inside of it. So this doesn't quite capture like the structure of the. It doesn't quite capture the structure of the language. I'm proposing that we basically make this like match the semantics a little bit better so we can split things up in a way that's more convenient for us. In particular, like have an explicit notion of a module, I guess.
Mm,
And then it would be the preprocessor's job to translate from like directives that we get
to
from the
module.
parser into the module structure.
That's what I mean. That sounds like a lot of work, but okay. If that's the proper way to do it, let's do it. So here's the first question. Um, are we gonna make another type for all the directives, or just gonna be like flattening it out in here?
Mm,
Like we could make another type, something like add directive, and then it has module off, and then we put the stuff. And if you're gonna do that, I would rather not. Man, that's gonna be so much work, man. Because it's gonna break all the pattern matches. What I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So do you know the problem with this data structure, right? Because we have a lot of annoying pattern matches because we have funcs.
yeah.
If we're gonna have the privilege of having a separate type for it, we can just make it more convenient, right? Instead of handling the stuff like it was funcs all the way.
Uh, yeah, we can do that.
Okay. So what does a module need then? A module need a name, right? A module needs an optional signature name.
This should probably be a record actually, instead of a tuple.
Yeah, I agree. So it's probably gonna be something like a name, and then we have also, I don't remember, is this commas? No. Yeah. And then we have also the signature, which is gonna be optional, right? So this is
Which is gonna be optional, yeah.
optional. And then we have,
Actually, can it be a string?
well, it's gonna be a string with locations. All of those things are strings with locations. Okay. I'm just drafting it right now.
Okay.
But you can imagine that this is gonna be this all the way. We probably should have some sort of a macro for that. Like if I put string that, then it's with location because this is annoying. But okay. Then here's the thing. So this goes there. What else do we need? So I remember when we changed the parser to be custom instead of using the stuff, we also made a decision that the directives can have multiple curly braced bodies, right? Are we gonna keep that?
Um,
We should, right? Because
like,
you can have an inline signature for module.
yeah, in general we should. For modules in particular, we actually only want one body. because
What if you have an inline signature?
well, the preprocessor will turn that into a signature, not into the body of the module.
I don't know if I like that because that means that now the preprocessor needs to understand what a signature is. It's not only like very simple and dummy conversions now because it has semantic like fundamental semantics of the module system built into it.
Well, it doesn't have to. It just needs to know if it's a named signature or an inline one.
I like that actually. So what you're saying, we can make another type for that. So and signature ref. So you are either named, and then if that's the case, you have this, or you are in line.
which is um, which is a T list, I guess, right?
T list list.
Actually,
Ah,
just a T list because it's just one, right?
I don't think that's good. You know why? Because if like this T is not, it cannot be any of these, and we are allowing that to be the case by using T here.
Actually, you can put declarations in signatures.
Um, you can put declarations in signatures. Yes, that is true. Okay, so never mind then. Okay, so we're gonna have to cover for the exceptions that will
Yeah,
be
but this is not
allowed.
a yeah, but this is not a list. It's just a list because this is just like it's exactly one body, I guess.
Yeah, and then this thing, because instead of being that, it is just signature ref, right?
And it needs to be optional still.
Optional. I don't understand. You cannot have you. You may have no signature.
You may have no signature.
Yeah, and everything is exposed. Okay, so that is true. What else? Man, that's gonna be very huge. Like every now that I'm thinking of it, like everything is gonna break. Everything. Okay,
Okay, so a
so
module has a name, a signature. It needs to have a body, and it needs to have. Actually, that's it. It has a name, a signature, and a body.
what's the body type?
It's a T list.
Oh, what happened to the list here? We something happened in there.
Well, for modules in particular, it's only the case that you can have one or two. I guess technically you could have zero, and we could make that sugar for an empty module. Right? Like more commonly, you have one or two bodies, quote unquote, because one could be the inline signature and the other is the actual body of the module, right? If you have more than that, that's an error for a module in particular.
Wait, could you repeat that last part where it ends up with an error?
Like if you have three bodies, if you try to make a module with three bodies,
That's an
that's
error.
an error because of the semantics of what a module is.
Yeah. Uh, okay, so this was done because we were agglutinating everything in under the umbrella directive, and some of those cases we needed. Now I am confused with the precedence. Is this list on top of this one, or is on top of everything?
No, it's a T list.
Okay, so it's a list of lists of T.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the head of the directive, and I remember that. And then we're gonna have to, yeah, that's gonna be a lot of work. And this is gonna be the body. And the reason we did it like this is because you're gonna have multiple bodies because of the inline case, and each one of those is gonna be another block of stuff, which could be more directives, which could be declarations, or yeah, okay, now I understand. Okay, so anything else for module?
Let's see. We have a name, we have a signature, we have a body. Um, no, I guess that's it. That's it for now.
Okay, so what about signatures? Name, right? So string, location, with location. What else?
And a body,
And the body, which is a t-list, I imagine.
which is a t-list. And then as a fallback, you can say custom for like a custom directive. So eventually in the future, we may allow the user to have like define his own directives. That's not a thing right now, but
No, 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 but we,
uh,
we have to go deeper. This is not even close to enough. All the Sakura ones needs to be here. Import needs to be here. Like, if we're gonna do this, we should be as exhaustive as we can. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless, and we should keep it,
uh, okay. So yeah, signature is that. Then we need an import.
right?
Yes.
Okay, and now it comes the Sakura stuff, which I'm kind of tempted of just doing this. What do you say?
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Okay, so Sakura. Man, that's gonna be. I'm regretting driving this session. Off. Actually, this should be easy. There's no name. This should be
They all
just
just
the
have a
list.
body, basically.
No, no,
Yeah.
not body actually. This should be
Well, we
list
don't
of
have to make it a
multi
record because
declaration, right? We're not gonna allow you to have anything else in there.
persisted of multi-declaration.
Yeah, am
Yeah,
I wrong? Okay.
yeah.
And I
No, this
think
should
and I
be it.
think this is gonna be pretty much the same for most of them. So like ephemeral is that as well. Constraint is that as well. Um, I think we can leave this as it is right now. But Jesus fuck, I'm trying to calculate the damage of this change. Okay, so shared directives is gonna blow up. That's for sure. Yeah, that's with the amount of how much fried my brain is. I cannot do the math properly, but I think this is gonna be huge. So this is just this now, right?
We probably should have an unknown directive as well with the previous signature, so we can. Actually, do we want to blow up if we find an unknown directive?
Given that we're not gonna allow customs, that's my vote.
That's okay then. We can do directive of directive.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start the compiler assisted refactoring. I'm so nervous right now. Wait, what? Did I save the ship? I didn't. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so immediately the preprocessor did kaboom. And I think that's we're gonna be here for a while. So preprocessor. Actually, which one do you wanna start with? Do you have a preference? Or can we follow what the compiler says?
We can just follow the compiler.
Yeah, okay, so the compiler is saying the preprocessor is fucked in line 25. Yeah, there we have it. So this is establishing the canonical order. And yeah, the pattern matching. Ah, fuck. That's gonna be annoying. That's gonna be hell of annoying. Okay, so we actually we forgot the. No, no, this is correct, right? Because the type I was changing base type, and now the type T is base plus location. So we still have to keep the content and stuff. What is actually wrong in here is the inner pattern matching. Because these data structures are not correct anymore. They are not correct. Yeah, no, this is wrong because this is assuming this is a pair. This is assuming this is a pair. Okay, so how can we
Oh,
easily do that though? Because now we have
actually,
so many
actually, before
possibilities.
before we go into this, go back to the types for a moment.
Yes, that they are here.
Hmm. Should we split up declarations from directives inside of modules at the type level?
Wait, repeat the question.
Like, should we split up the declarations from the modules in the type level here inside of the module directive?
Do you mean making this body multi-declaration?
Yeah, instead of having a body, we have declarations and directives inside of the module.
I think that's a good idea. Now that you mention, because that's in the entire point of this refactoring, right? Well, not the entire point. I think we already agreed that having a full umbrella for every directive is not only annoying when pattern matching, but it's also inconvenient because now we have the need of having more granularity. Let's put the granularity here then.
Yeah, and we should do the same for signatures so they have the same structure.
Yeah, so it's this, and then in here we have the directives, and I guess it's gonna be recursive. So directive.
Directive list, yeah.
I'm wondering though, this doesn't
We
have
should probably
location.
add locations. We should probably add locations to those things, yeah.
No. The multi-declaration should already have location. Yeah. See? It doesn't have location on the outer level because it's assuming. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so we need location here. Yeah,
Dot instead of
yeah,
underscore.
yeah. That's true. And
Same
then in
thing for the
here,
directives, yeah.
what's up with my brain? Okay, we do that, and then we're gonna split these in directives as well. In signatures, I mean. Um, and there we have it. Is this better? What do you say?
Uh, yes, but then we also need to change the inline signatures on line 19.
No, because this is also gonna be multi-declaration with location.
No, actually, these need to be declarations. These need to have declarations and directives. Like, we want your structure to be the
No, no, no,
same as a
no, no.
signature, just without the name, basically.
Yeah, I'm very close to like biting the bullet and changing list to finger trees here as well.
I mean, I'm not against it.
Well, you were never against it, right? Directives. So this is this thing. Okay. Uh, okay. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm not gonna propose that because we have things like this, which is using list, not finger trees. So let's keep it consistent for now because then we can do a later PR that moves all of them to finger trees. So that's gonna be my proposal. Okay, so are you satisfied with this now?
Okay, a module has a name, a signature, which is optional, declaration and directives, and a signature has a name, declaration and directives. Then we have imports and we have Sakura directives.
Yeah, this seems way
Um,
better organized than a full umbrella. I'm kind of regretting like why we didn't think that before of like because now we're gonna have to refactor loads of the world.
we should probably add locations to the Sakura directive as well.
Yeah, that is indeed true. Okay, so let's do some editor magic here. Which, by the way, something that bothers the shit out of my bean is the fact that when I'm using Java mode, Java overrides what Control D does in my config. So I
Huh.
lost, like if I'm not willing to tweak it, I lost the ability to do this. And as you can
That seems
imagine,
annoying.
that yeah, that's terrible. And that's actually pretty fucked up. Anyway, okay, so if we're done, I'm just gonna let's fly with it. Let's just go. Man, I have a question. Uh, do we need the location for like in here? Maybe, right? I think we probably should have. Well, we have an option. We either remove the location from there and we put it in here. What do you say? I think it's better to put it down there now that I think about it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So this is just gonna pipe there. Yeah. So there we have it. Okay. So module has the location because it's down there. Signature also has. Import has two locations: the location of the directive and the location of the label.
Actually, Lemos, we don't need the location on line 42 because we have location around base already in the definition of
Ah,
key.
that is true. I forgot. This is base. You're right. Okay, now let's do a done build. It blew up exactly where it should have blew. Okay, so this is not a pair anymore, so this is already fundamentally fucked up. But here's the problem. We're gonna have
Oh,
to do exhaustively this shit, no? Oh
no,
no,
we
this
can
is only for
actually.
import.
No, we can get rid of the sorting actually because we're going to split the body of the modules, right?
Ah, this sorting only cares about directives. Well, I don't think we should get rid of it. We should just rename it.
Not really, because we still shouldn't do a sort. We should do a split. Like we should split
The
the
split is
body
not
into
an,
two lists.
the split is not enough because within the realm of directives, import should come on the top. Split only removes the declaration noise, right? But this is not what this function is concerned with.
Uh, okay. What if we change the types so that imports have their own like space? I guess.
No, no, but import needs to compete with the other directive. So in my opinion, instead of t here, this should just be directive.
Why does it need to compete with the other directives?
Because if you have module directive and import directive, the import needs to come first, no?
If they are separate, does it matter?
What do you mean by that?
Like, we're going to split the body of the module, right?
Yeah.
Initially into two lists, one for directives and one for declarations, but we could split it into three.
Ah, okay. So you're saying that imports are even more specialized. They have their separate world then.
Yeah.
Well, eh. I don't know because that's well. I guess let's do it, but I don't like the precedence that this is gonna create because then we're gonna say okay, actually instead of having directives, you're gonna have like signatures and imports and everything later that we're gonna have. Um,
Mm,
so like we do imports and then this is what a string location with location list. But then
um, technically, the imports can just be a set of strings, actually.
no, the order
Uh,
doesn't matter. That is true. So that set string t.
mm, actually, is that the right type?
Actually, this cannot do because we have to have strings with location. So this should be it. Yeah, but here's the thing. So what you're saying is that yeah, we're gonna nuke this then. That's what you're saying, right?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna nuke that, and then imports is gonna become, and yeah, I don't really like that because now everybody needs to have this shit. This is a field that every single record from now on will have to have. Well, every single directive that can allow the imports to be inside of it, right?
Hmm.
So here's the question: are Sakura directives allowing imports?
They shouldn't actually.
Okay, so that's better. Okay, so we're only going to copy paste this twice for modules and signatures. That's what you're saying.
Signatures also shouldn't have imports actually.
Okay, so that's only for the modules. Then
Yeah.
here's the problem. You can have a module. Oh, but that's inside of a Sakura file, not a Sakura directive. And that's okay, right?
That is okay, yes.
Actually, that's not okay. I think we talked about this. You cannot import something from a Karuta file inside of a Sakura one because we're gonna have to send that shit to the database.
Well, you cannot import things in Sakura period because names in Sakura are global, which means you shouldn't need to import any Sakura modules to begin with, and you're not allowed to import Karuta modules, so like
That's a problem because we were planning on reusing module and signature for these types, these two types, for Sakura stuff, right?
well, for Sakura, we just need to assert that the imports is empty.
Okay, you don't want to do the type variable trick here then.
We could, but this is already a fairly complicated type. Do you actually want to do that?
Well, that's the first time I heard that argument from you. So it's because it's hard.
Not hard, but because it takes up more mental cache, if that makes any sense.
Well, come on. You have an infinite supply of mental cache money.
I don't, actually.
I don't know if I buy that. Okay, so my understanding is that we're gonna allow you to do it, but we're gonna assert you on it instead of not allowing you to represent that at all.
Uh, yeah, I think that's what we should do for now, because uh, otherwise the preprocessor will need to know about the difference between Sakura and Karuta, right?
Well, I'm trying to have this conversation because maybe we shouldn't make imports a field of the record, and we should just sort them.
Well, yes, but then you will still need to check that there are no imports in a Sakura module regardless. It will just be harder because the imports are not all in one place.
I tend to agree on that, but then the counter argument to the previous thing is that the preprocessors are already aware of Sakura. We implemented this already, don't you remember? skr. Right, so Sakura. It is already aware.
Hmm. I guess found a non-directive in Sakura file. I guess in that case, we can actually split the module into, I guess, a Karuta module and a Sakura module. Or rather, we can make this module be the. But then that would. Hmm.
I think we sh- I think this is going deeper. Like we need a functor for this shit, no? You give me the directive type, I give you the base type. And then you can get rid of this even.
Well, this is already a functor. We can just make it take an extra argument, I guess.
Even better. So what you're saying is it takes expression. That's not gonna cut it anymore, right? We also need I don't know how would you call that?
Well,
Let's
it would
actually
have to. Oh, it would have
Yes?
to be like a directive,
Comp time?
directives, comp times. Uh, kinda not.
I'm kind of just I'm trying to go to the for the future. Like maybe we're not gonna have only directives in this situation. No, let's not try to like be premature. So we want these to be directives, right?
Yeah.
Directives, and then we have directive. Okay, then we need to specify signature of that guy. Man, I was not expecting like today I was expecting some chill declaration compiling programming, and I was like, Marinho, okay, actually we're gonna nuke the AST and redo it from scratch. Uh, you have to specify a T type, and that's it. No?
Mm,
How do you do this thing? It's not comma. Am I going crazy?
maybe you need to do like
Nah, I'm not copying all of this just to. Yeah, this line is fine.
maybe it needs to be an asterisk. I'm guessing. Question mark.
Oh, so I can only take one value. That's what you're saying. No, that's not it.
That's not it.
Okay, you search for that. I'm gonna create a folder called AST. I don't know why that's always required, but let's do Sakura. And let's do Karuta. Okay. So we need to split up these types. So let's actually grab all of these things. Let's just start with Karuta first. So we're gonna have a type. We're gonna have a type called type T. This type, actually that's not the correct one. Yeah, there you go. Type. These are the named ones. That makes sense. We're not gonna have these over here, so that goes here. And then this is gonna be T. And then we're gonna say, hey, um, you have a module with imports, and you have a signature with that stuff. Wow, the type tetras on this thing is gonna be wild. It's gonna be completely like unbelievable. Uh, but I think that's it. Am I missing something?
Ah, I found it. It's similar to how you do multiple arguments functions. You have to like open parentheses, argument type, close parentheses, and then open parentheses again,
Could you
argument
paste an
type.
example in the chat, please?
Okay. This should work.
Do you think this is a good idea, making this an argument for the functor?
Making this an argument for the functor.
Yeah, try to think in your head the consequences of doing so, because the first thing that the first thing that came to my mind is we're gonna have two different clause F's instantiations, one for Sakura and one for Karuta, right? And how are we gonna? We need to plug this in into the compiler functor, no?
Clause needs to be plugged into the compiler.
Yeah, because right now we are just passing this as an argument, but now we have two different outputs. It's not only a single container of clauses. We have two different containers because there are types that come from as an argument. So this is the same for both, but this difference from one to the other. So my question to you is, doesn't that mean we're gonna have like to plug this functorization into the compiler as well, the compiler functor?
Well, luckily, the compiler is already a functor, so we just need to take an extra argument.
Okay, um, so you're saying telling me to do this. Yeah, you're telling me to do that. Okay, man, that's this is so interesting. So I think yeah, I think we're getting to a very interesting point. Okay, so do you agree this is it for Karuta?
Okay, let's see. Signature can be named or inlined, and then T is either a module or a signature.
And that's it for Karuta.
And
Yes,
do we need to know about expressions here at all?
we do, and that's a problem because look at what we have in here.
Hmm.
Is this a functor? Because it needs to receive expression.
Go back to the AST for a second, like the shared one. Let's see.
Ah, this type lives in here actually. Multi-declaration. It is not. It doesn't come from expression. It comes from here.
Hmm.
This is a very man. This is type Tetris, but on another abstraction. I have the same sentiment. I have the same feeling that my head is being crushed with a puzzle in my head that makes the AML people go insane. Insanely mad, I should say.
You need more brain power.
Like this is the same kind of feeling that I had when I was messing around with the GADTs.
Hmm. Let's see. We want to inject directive, which means. What does it mean?
It means that instead of having all of this, oops, instead of having all of these things, we're not going to have it, and we're just going to simply do that's it. But the
Hmm.
problem is that the original shared type it needs to have access to a type that is created in here.
We can make T be a
Parametric.
parametric in the directive.
Okay, so that means though that we need a type variable in here. So this is what? Declaration. And then when doing this thing, we just say, hey, tell me what is a declaration? Is that what we're
Uh,
talking about?
is that the only thing that we need to know?
I believe so. Everything else is either recursive or within itself, such as this case, or it is strings and basic types. The only custom one that we had so far was multi-declaration that comes out of here.
Yeah, I think that's it actually.
Okay, so going back to here, this needs to receive a variable, type variable. And then in here, every time we see, which means that this
Signature
also needs to
ref,
be.
it does, yes.
That's not how you type that. And then I just do boom that and man, this is crazy. Okay, I need to put There. This is actually insane. It's so cool, but it's insane. And then I guess we also need to do this in here because we have to have directive things in there as well. So let
We
me actually
do.
grab the old one. Yeah, let me grab this one. And then we can actually have better names now. So let's actually say, yeah, this is gonna be type. And I don't like this name. So let's say exclusive. Exclusive directive. And then in here we say uh, declaration T.
We could just flatten this type.
I agree actually, now that we have the flexibility of saying, okay, this is actually exclusive to Sakura. All of this. These are all the directives that Sakura supports, including the shared ones, which is this crazy part. Uh, Actually, that's a good idea. I'm gonna be able to share compilation of directives now. The types are not the same. Yeah, I think that may blow up on our faces, and we're gonna have to go to the for all Tetris again, probably.
Yeah,
Uh,
that might be a problem actually.
well, but if that's the case, we're just gonna have to make the. Okay, here's the pitch. We're not gonna be able to do pattern matching on it because it's gonna be a for all. But we can put getters using OOP nomenclature. We can put in directive.
What
And
if we just use objects actually?
yeah, we can put the API of the interface as part of the functor as well, and just use that in the shared version using objects. Objects for which portion of it?
Um, well, I guess what we can do is say, okay, modules and signatures will be the same between both of them, right? Except,
No, they won't be the same. That's the entire point. We need to specialize them because modules in Karuta can have imports, but modules in Sakura can't. But they are both modules.
I was thinking of trying to use an objects type for the module actually, and say, um,
Oh, and then we inherit, and then we like I don't know override the import or something.
yeah, like ideally each language should allow you to use a subtype of the module type, but hmm, is that a problem?
Crazy shit.
Like we will probably still have a directives functor for just language specific directives because we have some that are like
No, no, no,
Sakura
no, no.
only, right?
No, yeah, no, yeah, that's understandable. I'm not complaining about that. But here's the situation. We're gonna lose the capability of doing this. Like this.
Yeah, no. What I mean is, instead of having the entire directive uh, payload be a type coming from this module argument, we have module and signature, which is shared between the two of them, and is actually outside of the types coming from the argument. And the argument only has the cases that are exclusive for a particular language.
I don't know if I'm following all of that because I'm kind of tired. Could you? Yeah, I think okay. Here's what I'm gonna propose. Because I think this is just brainstorming. We're probably not gonna write anything that useful today anyway. I'm gonna commit this, and then you can pick it up from there, okay? Because then you have all the freedom to write and examples of what you mean, okay?
Uh, okay, just give me a moment.
I'm gonna be doing a commit, fmt. Yeah, there is a problem. There is a problem, I understand. Yeah, so let's actually, yeah, this is also ready to go. So I'm gonna say update Sakura error messages for top level declaration compilation. And then everything else, I'm not gonna commit that actually. This can be undone. And then this, and then this. Um, Draft of refactor of AST clause types. And then I'm gonna push that. There we go. Again, this is just brainstorming anyway. We don't have to. This is very important. The decision that we are making here is kind of like a very impacting decision. We are refactoring the clause type, which is a lot of refactoring. Maybe it's worthwhile a separate branch even, just for that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense actually. We should make a separate branch.
Because holy damn. Uh, Speaking of refactors, right?
Yeah.
Everything is gonna blow up. Uh, the shared directive compilation. I'm even wondering if the lookup is gonna blow up. Maybe it will. Hard to tell. Very hard to tell.
It probably won't because it doesn't work at the level of it doesn't work at the level of syntax. It works with the compiler state.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. Okay, so it's just gonna blow up directive compilation. Both the shared one, all
Yeah,
of
it's
the
gonna
shared
break.
one.
Yeah, to put it in more familiar terms, this is gonna break the front end, but the engine should be fine.
Well, the pattern matchings will all blow up as well. Remember, all of them in the shared directive stuff is gonna blow up.
Okay, let
By the way,
me
Tevo, how
organize
are you
my.
doing over there? Is everything alright?
Things are alright, yes.
Okay, I'm glad.
I'm trying to beat error handling
I
in
cannot do
Sakura
full
into
screen
something.
anymore. That's you guys gotta remind me. I cannot do full screen.
Lemus, don't do full screen.
Yeah, because that's how it triggers the OBS error. But then, Marinho, please like zoom in the thing. Like very
Uh,
more than that.
okay, I think it has to be something
Yeah,
like
that's
this,
good enough. Yeah, that's good enough.
and this can go away for a moment.
Okay, so what's your idea of using objects? Okay, we are again at this discussion. We were discussing
Hmm.
making the compiler an object. We dropped that idea. We kept the functor. But now we are discussing about making something about directives on an object.
Uh, yeah, that is the functor is here, right, for the compiler.
Yes.
Uh,
You provide a config, we give you the compiler.
you provide a config which has a state type, and then compiler with type. Okay, no, this is just unifying the types, and then And then we return a thing which initialize, yeah, this T type takes a state, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Wait, is your plan to put the directive stuff in that compiler type as well?
Not the directive stuff. Like, I'm wondering if we should try to do something with subtyping for modules, because here's the thing. We want Sakura to not have this, right?
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay, we have two ways to go about it. Okay, let me clarify. We can either go with this and do the assert, or we can make this unrepresentable in Sakura.
Yeah, I'm thinking of maybe doing something like this, I guess. Like, instead of directive, let's call this language, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, um, we have this type here. I'm going to make a separate declaration here just for the sake of sanity, I guess. So instead of just having one type here, we can do something like declaration and then directives, right?
Mhm.
Actually, this is wrong. Directive. But then also have something like type, um, type, um, I guess module info or something. This is a terrible name, by the way, but I can think of a better one for now. Um, Actually, extra module info like this. And then the idea is basically saying something like this. Instead of doing like imports like directly here, we do something like language specific, and we do lang dot extra module info. And then for
Oh.
Karuta, we say we have a list of imports, and for Sakura, we say this is just unit because we don't have any language specific
Okay,
data
so
in
so it
there.
is the same trick that we did for the mutable portion of the state, but instead of being on the level of um, instead of being on the
And then for
level of the type definition, it's on the functor.
yeah, and then here we do multi-declaration lang dot directive like this.
Okay, is that a good idea? Are you happy with that?
And I guess this would be directive. Something like this. Yeah, I think this is actually. Hmm. Yeah, I think this is actually the way to go because otherwise we won't be able to share handling of modules and signatures, which we should be able to, right? That's not really something that depends on Sakura versus Karuta.
Yeah, I agree with you that this seems pretty okay. Like we are allowing you to have specific stuff for a language. Probably should call this target, not language, to be consistent with how we name the compiler stuff.
Uh, okay, target. The target is a language, and instead of language specific, this should be called target specific.
Yeah, and then inside of target specific, yeah, man, yeah, I think, yeah. So in the case of Sakura, we're gonna pattern match in the target specific, and then Sakura's gonna have to teach us. Yeah, that is what I'm afraid of. Wait. Yeah, we have to continue this thought process because what I'm trying to define is, are we going to be able, inside of directive, inside of database, are we going to be able to pattern match on Sakura stuff, and in the database, well, inside of the compiler, the directive compilation, the shared one, maybe, are we going to be able to pattern match on that as well?
Well, the compiler would need to know how to handle the target specific directives, and that would need to be an argument to the functor because the functor on its own it shouldn't know about anything target specific, right? But we're already doing something kind of similar to that for the compilation step, right?
Hmm. Yeah, but the compilation step doesn't need to inspect anything. This will need to.
The compilation step does need to inspect things actually. If you go to the compiler here, um, you see, we take a compiler config which has a compile clause function, which is actually allowed to know about the state, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. What I'm concerned with. Yeah, I think we are good then. Yeah, I think we probably are good.
We could even, like, to make our lives easier, we could just add another requirement here saying, hey, we need to also know the clause module, which needs to be. I guess we would have to make a signature for the clause F, I suppose.
Well, but here's the thing though. These two pieces of information are separate. Do you want to unify them? Like, do you want to put the clauses inside of the compiler? Because right now we just recur over the clauses, keeping the compiler as accumulator as we follow along. Do you want to put the clause inside of the compiler?
No, 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 no. This is not the clause. This is the clause module, the clause functor, I guess.
No, yes, but what I'm saying is
Because
that during the compilation we instantiate that functor with the expression, and that was essentially a dummy functor, right? Because the expression module is always the same. Then we just have a list of clause f's instantiated, and then we just recur over the list of clause f's, keeping the compiler as accumulator. What you are proposing is to actually put the clause information inside of the compiler.
well, it's already there. It's just not parameterized.
Mm. Well, I wouldn't say it's the well. It is there because it's mentioned. There is a reference on compile clause to it. However, there's no parameters at all. It's because clause T is instantiating at the bottom of the AST.ml file. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is here.
yeah. It's because expression, it's always the same. But we had, I don't even really, oh, I remember. It's because we wanted to reuse expression on both versions of the clause. The one that the parser spits out and the one the preprocessor spits out. And we wanted to do it in like reuse the code and stuff like that. So we made those things functors, but they are like very dummy because there's no really configuration. It's always the same expression.
Uh, I guess in order to avoid making a signature for this thing, we could just say that we take an AST dot language, I guess, in here. Actually, compiler config, blah blah blah. Yeah, we need to receive. Well, this is a signature actually. Yeah, it needs to include module. Uh, I guess we can call it target. which is AST dot language, and language is a signature, right?
Yes, it is.
I
Yeah,
think
go
this
ahead.
is just because we can't recompile at the moment. But yeah, this would be an AST dot language, and then we would have to basically um, we can't instantiate this in here though because this is a signature.
No. The ast.clause.t is not a signature.
Well, clause, or rather, clause is a functor at the moment, right?
No. Clause f is a functor. Clause is a module.
No, no, clause is a functor because it's just clause f partially applied to one argument, but it takes two.
Ah. Oh, okay. You're talking because with the new version that we're gonna make two arguments to that functor.
Yeah. Um. Actually,
I think that should be possible. Am I crazy?
no. It should be. It definitely should be.
Hello, Mageta. How you doing, man?
Tired, man. Very tired.
Yeah, we are recording, but we are 20 minutes away from closing this up. Actually, I
Mm.
may end up this earlier because I'm starting to feel the need. Like, given how long my days are, starvation is now a problem, really.
I think it has always been, Lemos.
Ah, no, university trained me to be like 14 hours in starvation just fine.
Okay. Config is a compiler config, which
Let's ask the sensei Mageta here. Mageta,
Mm.
can you partially apply functors?
Uh, never tried, but I don't
uh,
think
well, you should be able to. The real
I don't
question
think
is,
with
can you
this
do that in
mod,
a signature?
I don't think a signature, but with the value, I don't see the impediment.
Well, my understanding is that if you have multiple arguments for the functor, that's a tuple. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, 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 sorry. I think I know what your Marin is talking about. You're talking about adding them as not as a tuple? Well, I did that,
No, no,
so
no,
that
no.
works.
Actually, no. I'm confused. Those are not tuples. We were trying to make them as a tuple, but the real syntax is they are separate arguments. Yeah. So this should be able to
Yeah, what
partially
Marin is
apply.
put on the chat, we have on Sakura, so that works.
Marinho, can you
Uh,
go back? Like, can't we make like module? No, go back to the compiler config. Can't we make something like ast.clause receiving ast.language or target? Is that a thing? Can we make a binding of that? Like module something something equals that.
uh, the problem is, I don't think you can apply things inside of signatures.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe you can
Oh,
actually.
what are you trying to do exactly?
Okay. So let me try to explain so then Marinho can confirm if I got it. Okay, so here's the situation, guys. We decided, well, Marinho decided today, he's very inspired today. He decided to nuke a part of the AST that we have after pre-processing it. He
That's
wants
always a good
to,
idea.
yeah, he wants to change it in a way that's gonna like require a bunch of refactor. Yeah, that is what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
I'm not sure
Well,
that we can do this though, because this is a
I
signature.
think you can make a module type that is a functor that returns a signature.
You're gonna have to repeat that, man.
What is the
Ah,
type of
you
signature
mean
of clause?
like this, right? Target
Uh,
AST dot language.
yes, although I'm not sure that is the syntax for it. I think you need to say that it's explicitly a functor.
Let me
Like
look at the screen.
functor.
Okay, so let me explain why we're doing this. It's because we want the post-processed AST to be a functor that depends on the language target now. That's That's what we're trying to achieve here. So our AST is going to depend on which language you want to compile to, if it's Sakura or Karuta, because the AST is going to morph according to which language is the
Oh,
target.
yeah, I can understand why this is destructive.
Yeah, no, this.
Yeah, basically the motivation is we want to have an import field for Karuta but not Sakura, and we want to have like target specific directives.
Yeah.
And we want to share module and signature on both.
And we want to share module and signature between both, yes.
And how this came to be is because Marinho noticed that we have a need right now to have more things already being separate before. Because the AST before was just a bunch of generic buckets of generic things, and now Marinho wants to know to have these already pre-processed before. So like we don't have to search for declarations between directives because that's already been splitted out.
Okay.
Which in retrospect is kind of obvious, but we didn't have that much problem with the WAM version before, and we kind of kept the same AST between them. Um, but now we are explicitly saying the preprocessor will split them up. So we have directives and we have declarations. So now it's an easier time for the compiler because we don't have to recur and pattern match on exceptions and things like that because they're already being separated. And I think that's going to be productive, but not today, only next time. Anyway, so has anybody discovered a syntax to do the thing that Tevo said? So
Let's
you
see.
can
Let
make
me.
you can make a signature functor. How does that work?
I'm not sure that you can actually.
I
I sent
don't.
an example in the chat, although I'm not sure that is actually correct.
I
I've
think.
done that before, but I don't remember
Man,
where.
that's crazy.
Module type mighting functor. So actually,
OCaml? Is that a thing? Can you actually do that?
You guys are doing crazy stuff there.
No, yeah, no. This is getting.
How'd you do that normally without this? Just thinking.
We would allow unrepresentable states to be representable and do asserts in the code.
I think that's the only case. Yeah. But I do think you could do that with objects. No.
No, yeah, that was the first idea that Marinho had when we were brainstorming. Like, can't we like shouldn't we make the common things between Sakura and Karuta like super classes and then like subtype them?
yeah, the other idea would be to make this module into an object type, right? Because then Karuta would use a subtype that has imports, and Sakura would just use the plain version, right?
I think it would still be a bit messy though to deal with the subclasses overloads of the if you need
Yes,
to overload anything.
yes. I think we would incur into the same kind of like.
And then, actually, I just had an idea.
Sure, sure.
Why are we bothering with this target specific tag here when we could just make this polymorphic variant?
No, why would we make
And I
polymorphic
hate that
variant?
people use WhatsApp and they send you audios. Like that's such a disrespect to your time, man. Be right back.
Why would we use
Okay.
polymorphic variants for this though?
Because then we don't have to make this declaration, and instead we can extend the variant. Actually,
Ah, wait, but wouldn't that cause us a cascading effect? Because now every other place that is not caring about the extra variant is not going to compile? Like, wouldn't that
hmm,
force us to have catch-alls all over the place?
yeah, that's probably messier than just
Yeah,
doing.
the experience that we did with the lookup module using polymorphic variants, I'm a strong. Well, maybe I'm completely misguided, and this is a gigantic skill issue on my part. But my understanding is that you only use polymorphic variants for prototyping.
I'm back.
No, you actually can use them when you explicitly want to have an extensible type.
Yeah, but if when you're done with the extension because you're just done.
What if you are not done and you actually want the user of your library or whatever to be able to extend the
No, no, no,
type?
no. In that case, I understand. In that case, I completely understand. But that's not our case. We have total control from top to bottom of this thing. We're not going to have unpredictable behavior that comes because people are using it as a library. I'm talking
It's
in
just to
particular about this
break.
case.
I think in this case it would be just to break the. I mean, it's hard to tell because I don't know the where this is used, but it's just the idea of making them still flexible but still not nominally typed in that
No, no,
case.
yes, I understand that, Magita. But here's the situation: if you have like you are doing some prototyping, you don't know what's going to be the final look of the implementation, so you're using well. That's how we used polymorphic variants before in this compiler. We were implementing lookup functionality. We didn't know how that would look like. So we just
Hmm.
said, okay, let's just use polymorphic variants and let's add tags on demand because we don't know how many cases we're going to have to deal
Right.
with.
Okay. It's not complete yet, right?
Exactly. But then we made it complete. And ever since then, my feeling is if nobody is going to be able to extend this aside from us, and we classify the thing as done, what is the purpose of keeping that as polymorphic variants instead of making a nominal type for it?
That's a valid point.
Marinho said that if it was a library and you have non-determinism, right? You have unpredictable user behavior. Then you use it, and I agree with that. But that's not our case.
Or if you're exposing like compiler services, right?
Yeah,
Somehow.
yeah. If we make a standard library, for example, like Jai does, that allows you to hook compiler event, like
I
you
need to
can
ask
watch
about
compiler
Jai, by the
events.
way. But go on.
Sorry?
I need to ask about Jai because I
Oh,
don't
okay.
get all the hype. But anyway.
Okay. Anyway, so you can, well, maybe Inzig you already can do this. Maybe Marinho knows, but I don't know any other language that you can. Well, aside from Lisp, of course. I don't know any statically typed language that allows you to hook up into compiler events. I don't know. And in that case, that's complete. Like you're making standard library, which is the compiler itself. Then I understand having polymorphic variants and stuff like
Well,
that.
technically, you can do that in .NET. It's called reflection,
No,
which
but
is
is that
highly unsafe
yeah? But is
and
that compile
very.
time though? Like is that which type of reflection is that?
It actually is because the if you think that the compiler is a bunch of stages and then it will just join everything on the on to target the IL, then it actually is because the IL is also typed.
Okay, in that case, there we go. Another example of compile time using the compiler as a library at compile time. That's not what we're gonna be. Well, I don't imagine us doing this anytime soon. So in my opinion, Marin, we can just keep this as it is. But let's go back to the previous conversation. Are we gonna make an object for this, or we're gonna try to make the signature functor work? Tevo, have you tested your hypothesis? Does what you typed works? Does it work?
Would you cry if he said no?
You need to rename the directory that I created, Marinho. You need to rename the AST directory that I created to something else. I don't know, AST2. Doesn't matter.
Let me move my tie. I'll make some hot chocolate. I'll be right back.
Actually, if you want, you can delete this folder, Marinho. We have this on Git anyway, and we're not gonna use this anymore because we're gonna do the shared typing, right? Oh wait, we will use some of it because we still have some types to define, like the extra stuff and the other things. Yeah, the place that you're looking for is inside of.
Well, technically, we could just put the things in here, right? Because,
Yeah, we could actually. We could put the types in here. That's okay.
but
We
then,
have to rename them though, because I don't. You rename them and you added more types to the language thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, let me ask the clankers here how the fuck you do this. Assuming this is possible, right? Um, how to make a functor of a module signature in OCaml.
The
Actually,
syntax seems to work, but I don't think you can instantiate a module using that. You would have to instantiate a signature inside it.
yeah, you have to instantiate the signature and then you can instantiate the module. But hmm.
Well, according to the clanker, this is called a named parameter dependent, and it's exactly what Evo sent. So it's module type, then the name of the signature, well, the signature, and then functor, and then arrow, which is crazy.
I'm thinking actually, what do we actually have here? We have T, we have decal. Are we using decal anywhere?
But we probably are, man.
AST, um,
Clause
clause.
dot decal.
Actually, let's not do this because decal. Okay, we are using decals. Um, uh, clause dot T. We're definitely using that, right? But what about base? Clause base. We aren't.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to use base because base doesn't have location and we need a location, so
Okay, we're not using base. And directive is new. This we're
what's
gonna get rid of.
what's your
Signature is
plan?
new.
What's your plan on this though? Are you planning on like moving base as well or something?
Multi-declaration. We're not using it. And head, I know we are. Yeah, okay. So head and T
I mean,
and
I
decal,
kind of
I
I
guess.
kind of like the idea of putting base on the functor actually because then we can remove queries from Sakura.
Remove queries from Sakura.
Because right now base allows you to do that.
Base allows you to do that. No, I was just checking that because I want to make a signature for this thing, and then we can depend on the signature on,
Crazy. I see what you're doing.
let's not do, well, I guess we can do the all caps thing, but that's inconsistent though,
Yeah, yeah,
because we're
we have
using,
lookup s. Yeah, the lookup s is the outlier actually.
okay, so clause needs to have a type T, you need to have a type base, actually not a base, a head and a decal.
What about multi-declaration? Oh, that's gonna be provided. Never mind.
Yeah, because then we can say in the compiler type here, instead of dealing with these parameters nonsense, we can say that we need to have a clause here.
That's probably not gonna work. You need to do AST dot clause in caps. Or you can open the module. That's also an option.
Uh,
Lookup is the outlier. If you want to change the lookup to be all caps, that's also fine.
runner. Where is runner used?
Everywhere. This is an argument to compile clause.
But in types, this is only actually used in one place. So, um, hmm. Because I guess we can do something like this, right? This needs to be clause.t. Okay, this is grabbing the runner from.
Okay, I'll finish the recording here.